just wanted to point out that in this episode, since we do remote recordings, that the video was a little bit messed up, but didn't really affect anything else besides just the viewing portion of it.
Other than that, you're going to absolutely love the interview with Tori Ortiz. She's a phenomenal athlete, speaker, and a super, super hard worker, and we learned a lot from her. So please enjoy and like and comment. Enjoy the episode. Welcome back, everybody, to the Fan Club Pod, and thank you for being here. We are lucky enough to be joined by superstar track and field athlete from Oklahoma State, Miss Tori Ortiz. How's it going?
It's going good. You're going to make me blush with that intro. The superstar. Oh, my goodness.
No, thank you for being here. Are you at school right now, I would assume?
Yeah, I'm in my little mini apartment.
Nice.
So I had classes today and practice and treatment. So
Dang.
yeah, my day's actually done. Yeah.
Look at that. Busy day.
Do you have roommates
Very.
then? Or are you
Nope.
No roommates? That's nice.
No. Oh, it's the nicest thing ever. And I'm telling you, I will never live with somebody again. After being by myself and just being on my own time, I can't do it.
That's what I did too. I lived with roommates and then I lived by myself, and I got to say, living by yourself is nice.
Oh, it's great. And I have 2 cats too. So
There you go.
I'm a cat lady. Yeah.
So how's the school year going?
It's good. I have senioritis so bad though. It is just because I walked in December. So like I'm pretty much done.
Yeah.
So this is literally like my last, 3 months now. And so I'm just ready to be done.
And you are a this is your grad year, correct?
Technically, yes. So I transferred from Illinois State. So I lost a lot of my credits because at Illinois State, it was just exercise science. And here it's applied exercise science. So a lot of the classes didn't match up. So I'm still catching up. But so technically, yes, I'm a graduate student, but I still have credits that I have to finish out.
Wow. So you're an exercise science major or applied. What's the difference?
Yes. It's like very hands-on. And so it's like you can take 2 directions. You can do applied exercise science, strength and conditioning, or applied exercise science, pre-professional.
Wow.
Yeah, because I took.
So one is towards like, sorry to cut you off, but one's towards like physical therapy, and the other one's towards like obviously like strength and conditioning coaching. So.
Yeah, I took kinesiology, kind of like the same path as you. What do you plan on doing with that? Do you plan on going into something after, or are you going a different path with it?
I have so many ideas. I mean, I do obviously like social media is kind of something that I do. So I would love to have that be a big part of my life and continue and kind of just go from being like an NIL athlete, I guess you could say, or having those deals and just really kind of transform into a real social media influencer. But I would love to I love to just work with people. So Orange Theory, have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Like Orange Theory Fitness. Like I would love to be a coach there because I used to shadow there, and I'm probably going to do it again this summer. And so that's probably something I want to do. And on top of that too, I love track. I don't want to let it go just yet. And I'm affiliated with Team Puerto Rico. So if I can keep and just run with them, that would be a dream come true. So I have a lot of options.
Yeah, that's awesome. I totally support that because too, it's like doing social media, you have that side, you have what you took in school. I just graduated and I'm not doing anything that I graduated for. And you can always go back for it too. And I think with track too, you're obviously always involved in that world anyway. So it's really good fit for kind of all 3: track, social media, and exercise science kind of all fit well together.
They do. And I'm definitely blessed for it. I'm just blessed for all the opportunities I have because honestly, a year ago, I was like, I'm probably just going to go do this and this. And I signed with my agency back in March, and I feel like my entire life has changed. So
hey, we feel the same way. Things like that have happened for us too. So we'll go back before the whole NIL and you becoming a face on social media. What got you into track and field, and were you always a runner or did you do other events?
I actually played softball for 14 years, and my dream was to go to Oregon. I wanted like a full ride to Oregon, and I just loved it. But I didn't have the best coaching, and sometimes coaching can really make you hate the game. And just not having that kind of just a very supportive and healthy, loving environment was really hard for me. And so I kind of went more towards track because when I was doing track and softball at the same time is when I was like, you know what, like this is the environment I want to be surrounded with. And so I quit softball my sophomore year of high school, and I decided I was going to do track. But I ran my first track meet ever in 5th grade. We had like a 5th grade track meet, and then it was just one. And then we didn't have track in 6th grade. They wouldn't let 6th graders do it. So I had to wait till 7th grade. And then I started competing every year just through school. Never did it like over summer, never was with the club. So literally just like the small little seasons that we had at middle school or high school. And then, yeah, but I mean, it just goes back to I've always been a runner, I guess you could say. Like, we used to play this game in kindergarten called bug catchers, and there would be like 4 cones, and like you'd be like the catcher, you get like those mesh vests, and you would try and get like as many people as you could, and I always won. And my gym teachers were like, "You're so fast," and I was like, "Oh, thanks," you know. So I kind of just stuck with that. And then in softball too, like I was really hard to get out, and so um just they switched me. I actually was a righty, and then they switched me to a slapper because of my speed. So I completely had to change from batting right hand to batting left hand, and then became a slapper, and I kind of just became a force on the field with that. So
That's
then
cool.
just switched the track. Yeah, it was fun.
You must have got
I miss softball.
you must have got a lot of stolen bases then, I can imagine.
Oh yeah, that was fun. They always put me like I was either first, second, or last. It always depended on what like the order was, but I typically was always lead off.
That's cool.
Were you did you get to talk to a lot of schools then in high school, or what? You said Illinois State, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What made you go there, and did you just kind of bloom into a better runner to be able to go to Oklahoma State, or kind of how was that process like for you?
So, oh my gosh. I actually got injured my junior year, and junior year is like your biggest recruiting year. And I was one of our very first outdoor meets because I'm from Illinois, and so we have an indoor field house. I was blessed to have an indoor season because like a lot of my teammates out here, they're from Texas. They didn't really have indoor meets. And so they got to train outside all year, then run outdoor. But I feel like, I had experience with that, so it was cool. But my first meet of outdoor was my hamstring, and I had a tear, and I was out for the rest of the season. And so it sucked. Then my senior year came along, and it's like, well, most schools have already kind of figured out who they want and stuff like that. And I knew my season wasn't going to be until January to May. And it's like at that point, like I already need to be committed to a school. Like I already need to go know where I'm going. And so for me, I had to swallow a lot of pride because I had dreamed of just being this out of high school Division I full ride athlete. And I had to accept reality. Like I dropped softball and I got injured, and now I don't really have times to be recruited off of. So I was a walk-on to Illinois State my first year. And then my second year, I got a little bit of scholarship. And then I left after my second year. So when I went into, I refused to run the 400. Like you could not get me to touch a 400. I would cry. I was like, I can't do this. And it sucks because I'm 5'9" and I have like a 400 build. So it's like my coaches were all like, Tori, please run this. I was like, nope, not gonna do it. I just refused to. I always just wanted to be a short sprinter because that's how I was my entire life. And I just refused to be a longer sprinter. And then I went into Illinois State my first year, and they had me lead on the 4x4. And then my time just started going down. I kind of like this. And then my sophomore year, I asked my coach, I was like, I kind of want to run the 400 and switch over from being a 1-2 runner to a 2-4. And then I trained, and I was runner up to be MVP of the meet at MVC. I scored, I think, 18 and a half points individually, which in track, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I scored a decent amount of points. I'm pretty sure it was 18 and a half. I don't know, but I was real close. I got second in the 4, third in the 2, 7th in the 60, and I think we got third in the 4x4. So
go ahead. No, I was just gonna ask how does that point system work? Because I don't know a lot about track.
10, 8, 6 for 1, 2, 3. So I got 8 points in the 2, 6 points. And then when you do relays, it's cut in half. So it's like all 4 points get divided. So, and then 2 points. Yeah, it was 18 points, 18 and a half points individually. So that was big.
I always find it fascinating when we talk to someone in track because we used to do 400s for hockey, but it was like punishment.
Oh man. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh
And you're here doing it
man.
as a race.
And I love it. I'm running the 600 now too.
My God,
Oh.
good for you.
Thanks.
We would have to do our punishment for it too, because it's kind of, I don't know if you'll find this harder or easier or not, but our punishment for it was that we would run 400 meters, and I think we had to do it under a minute and 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it like 12 times in a row with like
Oh,
a
no.
minute rest in between. And we were puking, like
It was
just
horrible.
Oh yeah.
horrible.
That's
And we're not runners
understandable.
too. We're made to skate, not run. So
Yeah.
you get us to do that, and then it's like not good at
So
all.
props to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I love it. I used to hate the 4, then I started running the 4, and then COVID hit, and then my coach left, and he was like, Tori, you can run with the big dogs. I was like, okay. So then here we are. Now I'm at Oklahoma State. So,
Dang. Sure, you get to go to some amazing campuses now that you're at OSU too.
oh yeah, it's been fun. And just OSU, it's such a beautiful campus. I mean, when I got here and I saw the football stadium for the first time, my jaw was like, it was so much fun.
Pretty easy to recruit there, I'd say.
Yeah, it's great. And we have, I mean, just the gear we get, the things that we get with it. We get this thing called training tables. So like they feed us and it's really just for athletes, and you get dinner Monday through Thursday and breakfast Tuesday, Thursday. I mean, it's just great.
The D1
So.
life, man.
Yeah.
So let's transition a little bit away from your actual sport, but how did you start your whole social media life, and what gave you traction for brands to begin talking to you? How did you even want to start that?
I think when I saw that we were going to be able to get paid, I was kind of like, oh yeah, money. So I just started to build my TikTok over COVID. I had not had TikTok. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone had it, and I was like, I'm not getting this app. What is this app? For the longest time. And then I got it, and I just slowly started to build and build and build and build. I mean, when I got here, I did not have that many followers on TikTok, and I had maybe 4,000 followers on Instagram. And I just hit 150,000 yesterday. So
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
Congrats.
thank you. And then I am at 620K on TikTok now. So I just started to make content and saw that it was working. And then my first ever deal was with iSlide, and I wasn't really like that big at the time, I guess you could say, that well known. I think I had maybe 20,000 followers, or maybe 10, something around those lines. And so they created like a slide, but I feel like now if like my slides were to get released, I would probably sell a lot more. But honestly, like how I got set up with my agent was, I have to give a shout out to him, is AJ Green. He had found me on TikTok, and he was like, do you have anybody to start doing deals with? And I was like, no. And he was like, you could really make this work. And so AJ's agent is now also my agent, Raymond Representation. He's great. And so AJ kind of set us up together. And then from there, like my first deal with him was Gatorade. And so then I worked with Gatorade, and then I got my own line of merchandise on Amazon. And then I worked with Shop GLD, Force Factor. I became Tyreek Hill's first ever Soul Runner athlete. So I worked with Tyreek Hill, and that came with just some of the most amazing experiences. I worked with this company called Zoma, and I got a new bed, so that's been fun. Free bed, it's so nice too. That
is great.
It's so good. What else? I'm trying to think. There's definitely some other big ones. I feel like I miss all of them because I've done so many deals. European Wax Center, I did that. Oh, Meta, I worked directly with Meta, so that was cool. They flew out to my house, and I did this deal with them about just being like a Latina in the world, and I was their first ever NIL athlete too. Who else? That's all I can think of, but I definitely have to give the biggest shout out to AJ and Raymond, because I feel like I would have never gotten set up with Raymond if it wasn't for AJ, and I feel like I would have never gotten these deals if it wasn't for Raymond. I mean, he helps, but at the same time too, like you have to market yourself just as much as they pitch your name.
Very true. That is very true.
Did you like learn all this stuff kind of along the way, or did you have like another athlete that inspired you, or you wanted to make similar content as?
No, I honestly just, it was me. Like I posted my media day pics, and that's kind of when people were like, oh, okay. And then so that was when I first got here, and then those blew up. And then I'm like, okay, well, people started calling me that girl, like that track girl from OSU, or that girl from OSU, and just this and that, and kind of took on that image and started making a lot of my stuff about track and stuff with that. And that's really kind of how I built my brand. But once you see what videos go viral and what people like, or what posts make on Instagram, and what gets the most amount of likes, most amount of comments. And now Instagram's like, you can like see the insights, so you can see like how many non-followers it has, or how many of your followers it does. So you can see if it hit an explore page and if it blew up. And it's just like, those are the things that I started to pay attention to. I started to pay attention really to the insights, and I was like, okay, so this is how these people like to see me. This is like what these people like to see. And I kind of just kept building on it, and it's worked.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of people like to see what you were doing in track as an athlete, and using kind of your life as a student athlete to grow. Without that, sometimes like people don't utilize that as much. Like, do you think when you talked about media day picks and all those things, has showcasing yourself as that track athlete and your school and your lifestyle been the best way for you to grow?
I would say so, but I, with my media too, definitely try and keep it Tory, because at the end of the day, like, track does not define me. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, you're going to be done being an athlete at some point. And so
Yeah.
it's like, when that point happens, I still want to be known for Tori. I don't want to lose all my supporters and followers because, oh, well, she doesn't run track anymore. Oh, she doesn't go to Oklahoma State anymore, so I don't need to follow her. It's like, I want to keep people engaged. And I think one thing for me too that's helped me grow is I'm human on my media. Like, I post pictures of me, like if I, travel, or if I go to a track meet. Like, I'm not afraid to be vulnerable on social media, because I think people look at social media influencers or athletes and think that we just live this lavish life and we're great and we don't have any problems. And that's just the farthest thing from true. Like, I'm a girl, I get my heart broke, like, I have bad days, I have dark moments, I feel alone. Like, I'm human. Like, I have the best days of my life and I have the worst. And I'm not afraid to showcase that. A lot of times people are like, oh, don't let the world see you hurt. And I'm like, well, I don't want to put out this image that I'm just a super like strong girl that doesn't go through anything. It's like, I have a fan base. I want to let people know it's okay to go through things. And like, just like you, I'm going through something too. Like, if you had a bad day, like, I have bad days too. Like, I want people to feel like they can relate to me. And I think that's huge, because having numbers, people already think, oh, I'll never be as big as this person. Oh, I can never do that. And so it's like, I try and showcase that, like, I'm still Tori. Like, I'm not a social media influencer. I'm not this girl. Dang, when I was talking about my deals, I definitely forgot that I just signed with WWE. That's terrible. But I signed with them too. But it's like, I'm not like the next WWE superstar. I'm not this. I'm not that. Like, I'm also Tori. And I will always be Tori before everything else. And I want people to know, like, I am just as normal and just as much as a human as you are.
Yeah, that is genius. And being relatable, like you said, is the key to being something after track is done. So do you have advice if there was a track person going in their freshman year wanting to end up where you're at senior year? Is there advice or steps that they could take to maybe get the courage to, first of all, start posting, and then to effectively get to a point where by year 4 they actually end up with 500,000 followers or whatever that number may be?
Yeah, you just have to find what works for you and really bet on yourself. I took the biggest bet on myself, and I was like, Tori, you can do this. You can be famous one day. You can be known. Just put in the work. And once you find what works for you, keep that. Because if 3 people like it, the next day 10 people might like it. The next day 40 people might like it. As long as you start to find what a group of people like and continue to grow, just keep on at that. And then work hard too. That's the biggest thing. Track, I think people underestimate, is probably one of the most mental sports as much as it is physical. So
Yeah,
believe in yourself.
I love hearing about that. People, like, you never necessarily know what people's thoughts are about creating content when they're just posting. And it's really cool to hear how you're smart about it and you have a strategy and you know what you're doing and how that can come with then a really good brand like what you have.
Yeah, it's fun. It's social media is hard though. I mean, it's exhausting because there's times that, you want to take a break and you just want to focus on you and you kind of want to shut yourself off from the world. But you got to realize, like, when you're an influencer, you can't really do that. I mean, I think maybe I've posted like 2 TikToks in the past like 3 weeks and I've lost like over 2,000 followers. I mean, it goes quick. It's like you got to stay on top. You got to be consistent. Otherwise, like, the more you build, the quicker your numbers are going to drop.
Yeah, that's just because everyone wants to see exactly what you're doing, and one day you're not posting, then they'll see someone else and be like, "Oh,
yeah,
now I want to follow them instead," or something like that. How does Oklahoma State help athletes with NIL? Because I know some schools are very helpful, some may not be as helpful, but how has OSU impacted that?
They're great. I mean, over summer, like, they took some of us to the NIL Summit, which was what was it, in Atlanta, and it was great. And so, I mean, our AD, and then Steven, I don't know what his position is because he moved out of whatever he was working and he's now in the School of Business. But, him, me, Ben, and then Tyler, a football player, we all went down over summer and they just went to learn. Like, we went for the experience, but then they also went to learn, and we got to learn and just see what we can do for NIL. And then we have, it's called the Brand Squad, and it's our school, like our Spears School of Business. They have like this whole mini group where they sign athletes left and right and help them get deals, just help them get on their feet. And, they have a podcast too. And they just have this big group that they're just trying to learn how to social media market. And then it's like, we'll have these like meetings, or like, hey, like, if you want to learn about NIL, you can go to this tonight, or they'll have like classes. I mean, OSU is so supportive of it, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Wow, that's great to hear.
It's impressive.
I'm assuming that a lot of our listeners might not know what the NIL Summit really was, because it's only been going for 1 year. Can you briefly explain that event?
Yeah, so they kind of flew all of us in from all over the world. It was, maybe 200 something athletes just from all these schools. And it didn't matter if you were graduated or where you stood, but they kind of sent it out to certain schools. They hand selected us. And then we went to Georgia where we had the summit. The first night was kind of like a little meet and greet. We had a red carpet where we all got to dress up and we all got to meet each other and kind of mingle. And then it was a convention. And so it was like, you got to learn. There were so many speakers. I mean, Triple H spoke. Jada Williams, I think is her last name, basketball player. She spoke. Sedona Price, Sedona. I don't know her last name. But Sedona, she's big on TikTok. She spoke. Sharif O'Neal was there. I mean, it was just, you had big name people, and just watching people get these awards. One of the girls who's in my agency, Emily Cole, she was there. And it's just awards, like, you got awards based on NIL, and then it was just literally like how to learn how to market yourself. I mean, Meta spoke too. There was so much, and it was so neat.
Were you nominated for anything at that event?
I didn't even know.
You just got to go.
Yeah, and I remember I told our AD Ben, I was like, I want to win something next year. I was like, I don't know what I got to do, but I said I want to win something next year. So
I think you're on the right track too.
I hope so.
Seems like it, at least.
I hope so. I would like to go again, even though I'm technically going to be done and graduated. I would still like to go back again this next year just for the experience, because it's at a bigger place this year. It was at the National College Football Hall of Fame, I think, something like that. It was super cool. So
it's neat to see that college, or I don't even know who puts it on. Is it Meta?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know who. I don't think it's NCAA.
I think it's Meta.
It's influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like powered by influencer, I think.
Yeah, that's right. It's cool to see that there are starting to be events like that too, because it's been forever, and it's been too long before athletes were able to make money on their own rather than just be a ticket salesman. Now they're out here making their brands on themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's really cool to see. And obviously we graduated last year. We got one year of taste at the NIL, but it definitely helped us get out there more into the world with the brands we were working on. And we were just on a small D3 hockey team, and being able to do NIL pushed us forward to where we are now this year, post graduation, which is fun to see and exciting to see for everyone who is taking advantage of it.
It's been so much fun. And the fact that it's even going down into high school now, like, I'm like, okay, wow. Well, everyone's about to start making money.
Mm-hmm. Sports world, man. Something, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you got we have NIL, but you also have the WWE side of it now, which I feel like is almost is that like a step up, do you think? Or how is that stepping stone? And explain what it is first off, and then we can get into it more.
So I signed with them. I'm a part of like their class 3. And so at the end of my season, I'll go down to a training camp. And then from there, I don't necessarily know like all the ins and outs of it. I know there can be tryouts. You can go to tryouts. You can get selected. But I know there is the training camp. And then also like what comes with it is like you get to go see this stuff. So like WrestleMania, or if they have something, it's just such a fun thing to be a part of. And I remember being at the summit when they played like the hype video for WWE and Triple H was talking about it. I was like, I could do this. Like I have the personality for it. And all my friends were like, oh my gosh, it would be so cool if you were an action figure. I was like, okay, guys, like, let's stop. But it's the support that I get. And I just think it's fun. But I'm really excited. And I think it's something that I'm definitely going to try.
So one day you got an email, like recruited that way into
No,
it?
my
Did you
agency
request?
has had kind of like contact with them. But also I met one of the people at the NIL Summit. And I went and I spoke to him personally.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Dang, you ready to try out for WWE?
I'm kind of afraid because I honestly, probably last year was the first year I was just able to touch my toes. And I can't do a backflip. So I'm like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited though, because I'm very athletic and I know that, and I'm very competitive. So I'm like, okay, this might work. And I'm strong. So I'm just like, you know,
There you
but
go.
we'll see.
They'll teach you the ways then.
Man, that's the goal.
That would be
Is
so
there
cool.
expectations out of you now that you're in that? Or how does, like, do you have to do something in the future? Is there anything that, I guess, now that you're in the program that you're committed to?
Just them. I mean, I have like my contract that I signed with them, and then I'll proceed on after everything is done. So it was really just part of like the next recruitment class. And then from there, it can blossom into something big or it won't.
Okay. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
Great idea by them.
yeah, it is cool. I love that. I love how you can like be a part of their circle and kind of have connections in that world and everything. I'm assuming that it's really helpful for athletes, and it's cool too that it's not just wrestlers or other athletes that are more geared towards that. Like the fact that you're a runner in that program, that's really, really neat.
It's awesome.
How many other athletes, sports kind of make up that?
We have a girl wrestler. We have a couple track people. We have another hurdler from LSU. Soccer player, basketball players, football players, swimmer. I mean, every sport.
Wow.
Yeah, every sport. It's really neat. Tennis player.
So cool. Really? I never knew that. Never knew that.
Yeah, so when they announced like our video, they announced each of us like what we do, where we go, and what sport we play. So like, yeah, and it was neat. So I was so excited when I saw my little hype video. I was like, oh, that's me. I got excited.
Well, future WWE WrestleMania star.
Yeah, that's what everyone
Tori
has been
Ortiz.
like kind of grilling me for. My trainer calls me the Lasher because I always have on lash extensions. And so every time he sees me, he's like, hey, Lasher. I'm like, oh man, Mike. Like, I was like,
There's your name.
what the heck? I mean, everyone's been like not making fun of me, but they're like, what is your name going to be? And this and that. And everyone will like joke about names. I'm like, guys, come on. But it's fun.
Have you always kind of been able to handle the spotlight, or has you been kind of having to work up to it? Because obviously WWE is a pretty big stage, and do you think you'll be able to get to that personality level?
I'm a very outgoing person. I mean, like I'm the type of girl that like if I see somebody in public and it's a girl and I don't know her, I will literally go up to her and tell her that she looks good. Or, you know, like I'll be like, wow, like you look good. Or like if I see a cute guy, like I don't care, I will go up and shoot my shot. Like I'm not a shy person. Like I introduce myself to everyone. I make sure everyone feels comfortable with me. So I don't think it'll be a problem. I'm an only child. So I like my entire life, like I grew up with all my family members. Like now they were all like 16, 17, and 18. So I grew up pretty much with high schoolers, and my mom was 21 when she had me. So I kind of grew up in like a little fun era, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then so I always did shows like we have like the little old, I mean the old cameras that you gotta like look through the thing and it's like the big box and you flip it open. Just like the VHS tapes of all that stuff. And I always used to put on shows or do performances or try and make a YouTube channel. And, you know, I have so much. So I've always just been an outgoing person. So I think that honestly, that lifestyle suits me. But what I'm still not good at is when someone's like, can I take a picture with you? My face gets beat red. To this day, still gets beat red. We were at the football game, my dad and I. He flew out to see me. And it was our homecoming football game. And we were sitting down. And I'm just eating this bucket of popcorn. It was hot. And we're just chilling. And every time someone came over to me, he was like, he just gave me this look every single time. I mean, there was probably like 30-something people. My dad was like, wow, kid. And he's just like, I'm proud of you. I was like, oh, thanks, Dad.
Isn't that a different feeling when someone recognizes you in public?
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there and you're like, why is this person coming up to me? And then, we love your stuff. Let's take a picture.
Yeah, and they started wanting to take pictures with my friends too. And I love that because I'm like, yes, get my girls in here. Yeah. I love it. So it's fun.
That's awesome. Want to segue into the metaverse talk a little bit because you said virtual reality might be the future of sports. And it's kind of a new topic to me. So like, why do you think that?
I think because when you're in virtual reality, I mean, just watching the way that we were able to do these candid conversations. I mean, I couldn't even tell you where these people were located, but it's like, I'm sitting here at my counter and then they're sitting right here next to me. We're having this conversation. And I was just thinking especially for me, when it comes to track, you learn a lot by watching, you know, like a coach, for example, like a strength and conditioning coach, and they're trying to show you how to lift and how the proper form is. It's like, if there's maybe people who don't necessarily have the money to go out and go join that or go get a trainer or to have things where they want to learn, it's like you can do that literally through the metaverse. Like you can get with a trainer, you can get into a class, you can do something, or even just like, you know, some people don't want to leave their house. It's just some people don't want to do this. I think that we can learn to teach through the metaverse because honestly, the sad part is like, it's sad at the same time, but it's not. But our world is becoming very much just majority technology, and it's kind of getting away from a lot of other things. And so it's like, well, you have to make the most of it. If it's going to become technology, make the most of it and make the best of it. And so I think that you really can be able to see. I mean, you literally just, if you're in the metaverse or you're in just on the VR headset, I mean, you can be a quarterback and you feel like you're in the game. So it's like you know, or you can be climbing something. I mean, there was this thing that I did. It was like this building walk. I don't remember what it's called, but it was just this board and you had to like tightrope, like walk. And I mean, you just felt like you were going to fall. I was like, my heart was thumping and I'm walking on my living room carpet. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. It just kind of puts you in a different headset where you feel like you're really there. And I think too, it's not just necessarily a way for sport, but it's also like sport and creators. You like these creators, if you start stepping into the metaverse and all that stuff, you know, you can start to connect with people. And this is another way. I mean, you know, someone in California might want a track lesson for me. Well, they can't come to Oklahoma, so we can do it through the metaverse. I can show you certain things, how to operate your body. I can sit here, we can have conversations. It's like, it allows you to connect with people that maybe want to connect with you and learn from you. And I think that that's a way.
Yeah, way better than Zoom too, obviously. Like you can technically do some of those things through Zoom, but now that you explain that, I'm definitely seeing how there's way more ability to actually do a lot more with certain sports. The quarterback thing would be really cool to get lessons like that. I've never done it before, so I really don't know what it feels like to be in there, but I'm assuming once you go in, you can realize like, wow, there could be a lot of cool things in the future with athletes and strength coaches that this could open up a lot of doors and make them better with less effort of traveling to them or whatever.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, it would be cool to make people feel involved with you because a lot of the times when you have a fan base, people want to meet you. People just want to talk to you. People are always asking, how do I get faster? How do I do this? I feel like I'm doing these workouts right, so how do I fix my form? It's like, I can't fix your form for you over an Instagram DM. But if you had something like the metaverse, and they're still growing, so there's so much more that's going to come with it. So as it develops, and you start to get to the point where it's like, you know, you have hands, because when I was in it, like you could see hand motions. So you could see what I was doing with my hands, you could see my facial expression. So it's like I only know it's going to get more and more and more realistic than what it is. So it's going to get to the point where there's going to be legs, and it's like, okay, well now you can see me running, you can see what I'm doing. So it'll be neat to see how it goes, and just to be able to put two and two together, I think will be something that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get a couple headsets and you can teach us how to master the 400s.
Man, you got to teach me how to skate then, because I don't know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll start her off on rollerblades, then we'll take you to the ice.
My dad used to play hockey, so he always used to rollerblade in our
wow.
basement, and he has like his hockey stick still in the basement. So, yeah.
It's been super cool seeing you share your Latina culture with the world. How has you being able to have this bigger reach? How important is that, and to show the world who you truly are, and why is that such a big emphasis for you?
You got to tap into your roots, you know, where you came from. Like, obviously, like me being Puerto Rican, it's like I want to show love to like really where like my seed was planted, like where I stem from. And whether I'm first, second, or third generation, like you always come from something like much bigger than what you know you really are. Like you always have to be something bigger than yourself. And I think that's important to show love, because the reason I'm here is because of them. And it's like, who am I to sit here and be selfish and, you know, not, you know, go back to why I am me and what makes me me. And I think that that's really important for anyone. But also, like, Puerto Rico doesn't get a lot of love. And so to be able to be a face for them, and to be able to be, whether that's through the media, whether that's through WWE, whether that's through track, like just to represent them is so important to me. You know, just to give them a reason, like, oh my gosh, you know, like, or that's my cousin, or like she's Puerto Rican, you know, like I want to make people in that country proud and kind of put a face for them, even though I'm not living there. And I'm like, obviously, like in the States, like I still want to make them proud.
Yeah, that's a super cool goal. And what do you think there's a great possibility that you'll be running for Puerto Rico one day?
I hope so. I hope leave this summer, even if it's just
Yeah.
trials. Like if I make it and just am able to wear that uniform across my chest, like that's something that means a lot to me. So, because Worlds
That
is
is
this summer,
something-
so
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a very rare accomplishment for a lot of people. So
it's hard. The track world is only
that would
getting
be
faster.
amazing.
Yeah.
Would it be one race then, or would it be like what would be the one race that you would probably be doing that for?
The 400, or maybe even a 4x4. But you have to go through rounds, a lot of rounds. You got to go through tryouts, and then you got to go through trials, and you got to go through trials of this, and it's like it's so many rounds of running.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a long process then.
It is.
For sure.
It definitely is.
Yeah, but what a cool goal though, to be able to represent your roots. And can I ask, what generation Puerto Rican are you?
I'm third, so it's like even
Okay.
though I'm still third, it's like I still want to show
Yeah.
so much love.
No, it's amazing that that opportunity is still there for you.
Mhm.
And that'd be so fun, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, we know your WWE theme song is definitely going to be a Puerto Rican jam.
That's literally how I want my graduation party. I remember my cousin when she had her graduation party. We always have like our Puerto Rican family Christmas party too. But when she had her graduation party, she had this pig roast, and it was just all Puerto Rican food. And I was like, when I graduate college and when I come home, that's what I want. I want that.
That sounds like a blast.
It was so
That would be
good.
fun.
Oh, the food is so
We don't
good.
do cool things like that in Canada.
Oh my gosh.
So what's your going back to just more of like, you've obviously done and accomplished many things. What is your goal setting process like, if you do have one?
I want to try and be at a certain amount of like followers by the end of the year for me. Like my goal, it's a long shot, but I want to be at least, I want to say 1 million by December. And I know that's a lot. And I know I have to be very consistent. And I know if I'm consistent, because I can post one video that goes viral and I can gain 100,000 followers a day. So I'm like, okay, I know if I'm consistent, I can get there. But 800K is my goal by December. And then I want to hit 200K on Instagram before I am done with track. So mid-June, about here at OSU, or even the end of May. That's my goal. I have a certain amount of money that I would like to make. I have a car that I really want to buy. I still trying to figure out where I want to go, but it's like I have all these numbers in my head where I write them down in my journal too. It's like I have my track numbers like right here up on my wall. So I look at like, my track goals every day. I have, my money goals. I have my following goals. I know what I need to do to get there. So it's kind of just okay, like this is the end goal, and then I take everything with baby steps because you can't skip a step. That's one thing I've learned. You cannot miss a step. You have to take things step by step. You can't just jump and get there. You got to work for it.
Are you someone who gets discouraged that when you don't hit your goals, or do you look back and say, hey, I was almost there, I learned a lot still in the process, and now I'm just going to keep going after it? Or how do you go about when you don't make something happen? Because that's always the tough part when people are setting goals in athletics or business or anything.
It definitely motivates me. I mean, I have to relate this back to track because I feel like the media is going to be the media, and you can't always control the media, but I can control myself as an athlete. And I'm very hard on myself as an athlete. I mean, when I say very hard, I mean very hard. And so to feel like I was the sole reason last year that my team didn't go forward because I didn't have a good race, like ate me to the core. And I made sure I worked hard enough because I did not ever want to feel like I was letting my team down ever again. And so I worked my butt off this summer, and I'm in the best shape now that I have ever been in. And so you have to use things for motivation. I think one of the main things that people need to understand is like, it's okay to hurt and it's okay to let yourself hurt, but don't stay in that hurt. Learn from it. But I feel like one thing for me is you have to feel your emotions. Otherwise you're never going to grow. Like if you just try and push something back, you're never going to deal with it. And that problem's still always going to be there if you don't face it. And so I always make sure I accept reality. I face my problems. I feel what I need to do. Like I feel what I need to feel, and then I go do what I need to do.
I think so many people get lost in that they miss a goal, and then all of a sudden they're just down on themselves and they kind of give up. There's a lot of give up culture around, especially in the United States right now, where you don't hit something or you don't meet expectations, and I'm just gonna go do something else rather than sticking to it, because then probably the second time you go after it, you're probably gonna crush it better than your first goal originally was.
Yep, that's honestly how I apply myself to track too with a lot of workouts. Like when there's a workout and I'm like, man, I can't do this. Like I'm too tired. I'm gonna quit. Like I can't finish this workout. And then we have the exact same workout the next Monday. I'm like, it's gonna feel easier next Monday. Finish it today. Like you have to deal with it because it's gonna get easier as long as you work hard. Keep pushing it. It's like you're gonna crush it the next time, even if you don't do the best the first, and it's gonna get easier after that time. So that's one of the things I really live by.
That's great.
And I didn't even figure that out in myself until this year. Like I literally was like, I just learned to tap in with myself as an athlete. And I think that was insane for me because before I was just all over the place.
How do you keep everything intact and organized? Because obviously you have a lot going on in your day-to-day life. I know you said you had senioritis, but besides that, how do you keep track and social media and all your business and your future endeavors organized?
I have like on my calendar what I want to post on what day. And so this is going to sound terrible, but my calendar definitely says September and it's February, but it's like, I have everything. I just haven't changed it. I have another one in my phone. And then I also have like a journal that I keep. So it's like, I don't really need all three, but I have also a really big whiteboard in my room that has like all my deals, what I need to do, how much I got paid, and all that stuff. But I have a list of, okay, every Saturday I'm going to post for this company. I'm going to do this post on this day. I'm going to do this story on this day. And then school for me is really easy. It just comes naturally. Like I'm a really good student, so it's really easy to just stay on top of it. And I like to get my work done. So it's like, if I have an assignment, I'm going to try and get the assignment done the same night. Like I learned to not procrastinate because it's like, I'd rather sit in misery on Monday and then have the rest of the week to chill instead of chill for the week and then be in misery because my assignment is due at 11:59 on Sunday and it's 10 o'clock. So I've learned to just get things done quick, but then have the rest of your time.
So with that whiteboard, what was your experience like from going to just making content to then making content plus adding in the brand deals? You clearly made a whiteboard to schedule those things. Was it a lot harder for you to organize, and did it feel like almost double the workload now that you had to post things for people on certain days and just kind of keep track of that? I know for us it can be kind of hard to, you have one brand deal, but there's a lot of revisions at times. There's that realm of unknown that you're going to always come with it. So with you, did you feel that way too?
Yes, the revisions part is the part that's hard. I think it's not necessarily making the content, but it's perfecting it. You can make the content real easily, but if the company doesn't like this, they want to cut seconds 35 to 37. You need to add this text overlay here. Oh, we don't like the music. It's just, it becomes a tedious stuff that you're kind of just like,
It
okay,
is such a
okay.
pain.
But I remember, I'm like, I'm getting paid for this. Be thankful. Be thankful. Like, I can sit and do this. But also for me too, it's like, I have to look at the amount of money I'm getting to what they're asking. If you're asking all this huge, huge stuff, but you're not really paying me anything, I'm kind of like, you're like, I feel like you're taking advantage of me. But if it's a very blessed chunk of money, I will sit here and deal with it. Other than that, though, I don't think it's hard. For me, the hardest thing is when I go through stuff personally, or even when I really get into season, sometimes I just want to focus on me. I don't want to do social media. I just want to focus on Tori and tap into my, but now that it pays, it's like I've learned to find a healthy balance. And that's just hard because it's like you have a certain amount of deliverables you need to produce like a month or for a contract time period. And it's like sometimes you just don't want to be on social media. Really making those deliverables, like one thing I've learned is it does not take anything but maybe an hour to sit down and produce that content. Like it's nothing. It's just when I feel like I'm dealing with stuff personally, it's just hard for me to get the motivation to do that. And that's something that makes it difficult. But again, I just step back and I'm like, Tori, like you are blessed to be in this position. Like, you know what, like maybe you don't feel up to it today, but take that hour because maybe you'll feel better to make that content, to get your mind off of whatever, to just focus in on that, make your content, feel good about it, and then you can go back to feeling the way you do after.
Do you have someone,
that's just something.
Sorry, do you have someone pushing you to do that? Is your manager really encouraging on that side? Is he leaving you alone? Or is it really yourself that's just motivating to continue on even when you want to focus on other things?
Raymond's great. I mean, Raymond, and even just like all my friends too, and all my family, like they all make sure I stay on top of my stuff and get my stuff done because they know, like, I mean, with fame, I guess you can say, is going to come problems. I mean, like, I've been hacked, you know, like my iCloud has been hacked. I mean, people have shown up at my doorstep, so my addresses have been leaked. I mean, it's just a lot has come with it. That's like, I've literally feel like my entire life and privacy has been invaded. And it's just like, I have people that keep my head above water, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. If you had one more year, would you get an assistant for your stuff?
Like to help with my deals.
Yeah,
and stuff?
like deals, maybe anything on that business side where you feel like you need to focus on school and track. Do you think there's a point where college athletes would even need another person to help them do all this stuff?
Depends. I think it depends on your sport and your schedule, but honestly, like I think you can take an hour out your day to make some content to get some money. And I don't think that you need to have somebody do it. Like my thing is like things for me are earned, not given. So don't sit here and have somebody else really do all the work for you unless like it's 100% needed. But it's like, don't sit here and have someone do all this work for you and just think that you're just going to be handed this check. It's like, you got to put in the work too. And that, I mean, that's just how I live. People might not agree with that, but that's how my dad raised me. Like things are earned, not given. Like what you give is because like you worked for it.
I think it's important that athletes know that they can accomplish all of that and do this on their own if they work hard. Like it's one thing to be a student, to be an athlete, but you can have a social media presence, even like you when you're super busy and you are growing and you have a lot on your plate. It's still possible, and that someone shouldn't just feel like they have to quit before they even get there because they can't do it anyway. So yeah, it's good to hear that from you, that everything is possible with some hard work.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand what comes with this lifestyle, though, because it's not made for everyone. Sometimes I even question if it's really made for me, because some of the stuff I've been through with it, I'm just like, wow, okay. But I understand it's going to make me a stronger and better person. So I take things for what it is, because God has a plan for everybody, and you can't mess up his plan for you. You can't, you know, go down a different path. Like you have a right, you have a reason, and things that happen to you, everything happens for a reason. So as much as I hate everything that's happened to me when it comes to the negative side of media, I'm also thankful for it because, for example, for me, one of the things I hate the most is comments. I'm the type of person that I can get 1,000 good comments that tell me I look pretty, but I won't care about those. The one comment that tells me I look ugly will ruin the rest of my day. And I've literally just over time, I've learned the fact that it's like, I don't need validation from people. Like, I don't need someone to tell me I look pretty. I need to learn to find that confidence in myself. Or it's like for track, for example, they'll comment on my track videos or my track posts and be like, oh, she's not that good. And I'll be like, well, how about you come try to make it through a workout? It's like it really teaches you to just grow individually and understand your self-worth and how you feel about yourself and understand that nothing is determined from the outside world.
Yeah. I think that's super important because, like you said, you don't need validation from anyone else. You just need to find that self-confidence and being who you truly are. But I really think that the listeners are going to absolutely love this. And thank you so much for your time. This was an incredible conversation. And we're definitely
Thank you
we're definitely
so
going to be
much.
cheering you on the rest of the way. And hopefully we can come see you in
I
WWE
appreciate
one
it.
day.
Man, that'd be great. And I'm definitely going to do the same and keep supporting you guys. And I just love your journey and just how you guys started off and what you guys blossomed into.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Well, thank you very much, Tori Ortiz, for joining on. That was very educational and someone who we felt like we related to a lot, being a athlete and starting the NIL journey. And then she's just a year behind us, but she definitely hit a lot of points that we were dealing with last year.
Yeah, like she went to the summit, and I liked it too that she knew a lot more that we could learn from, like the metaverse side of it, which is a really cool thing to think about, that we could be interacting with fans in there one day. Like, that would be sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like there's a fine line, I feel like, with all this technology that comes up. I know everyone thinks of the metaverse. I'm probably one to blame too. I'm like, oh, that's dumb. People are just gonna sit inside, like not really talking to each other. But there's definitely useful technology tactics, like she said, across the world, and you're giving someone a lesson. You can start a business probably in the metaverse.
Yeah, he can literally be in his office editing content in the metaverse for content only in the metaverse. If you want to dive that deep,
I feel
Can your brain wrap around that?
It can't, and I feel old for being that person. I never thought I'd be the one to be like, oh, that technology that's coming up isn't going to be, it's too weird, it's too new. And that's what my dad was saying about TikTok and all these other platforms now. So I guess I have to give it a shot so I don't put myself in those shoes.
Yeah, you might fall behind too.
Exactly.
You don't want to fall behind.
You don't want to fall behind.
Yeah, that'd be so cool if she got into WWE though.
Yeah.
Just that's just an explosion of
It's
how
so
they're
popular.
they're almost taking it like before. I watched WWE growing up, so before it was more like, yeah, your personality was big, but it was also like what you did in the ring. But now obviously WWE with like Logan Paul and stuff, it's like a whole social media side of it as well, like exactly with every other sport. Just showcasing yourself.
Yeah, I think it's really smart that they're reaching those college athletes to be a part of that, because who's going to do a better job in a ring than, first of all, an athlete? They're athletic, they are dedicated, like obviously going into school and stuff, but they're putting themselves on social media, so they know how to have some comfortability on camera. I can see why they're diving into college athletes to kind of nurture that program early on. I don't know where else they would look for a person like that.
Maybe I just didn't like grow up following the WWE as much as other people, but I feel like it's such a like sleeper opportunity for people because there's been so many big names that actually come out of it, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He was in WWE after his football days, and now he's like the highest paid actor in the world.
Yeah, or Batista, met him.
I don't know who that is.
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy, the alien with the sword.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met him.
He came from WWE.
John Cena.
Cena,
Daddy's Home too.
Yeah, it's like a stepping stone for some people.
It kind of is. And I mean, obviously it's still on TV twice a week or whatever, and people tune in from all over the world to watch it. So it's not like it's died at all. It's so the fact that they're evolving with the times is big time promising for them.
Do you know that if you're in that pool, like she was talking about, like her creator class, do you know how it works? Like, how many other people are you competing against? Like, when you move on from that, like after this year, do you move on into, okay, now you get to decide if you're just in like this bigger pool of people that are already like the step below, kind of like hockey leagues? Is it like the coast to the A to like the real thing?
Yeah.
I didn't quite get how that system's working, because how hard is it for where she is to get to the WWE?
Yeah. Before I answer, I'm going to say I actually have zero idea.
Yeah.
I have
on a good answer, but I know that it's called the WWE Next in Line program because they wanted to do NIL, so it's strictly college athletes who they like and could see maybe a promising career. I feel like it's just like a preseason camp or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like almost an open tryout, but open invite tryout, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, then they just like test them on basically like getting on to like The Bachelor or something. You just go through more and more rounds and they keep putting you through different scenarios and tests. And then obviously there's going to be the executives up top that, okay, well, we like what this person looks like and does. So then we're going to move them up until you get to the top, until you're on the top ropes.
I like that analogy.
Slamming.
It's a good analogy, The Bachelor. And then you come to the end and then you get the rose and then you're in, kind of like that.
Seems like it. I'm going to have to follow along a little harder with WWE because I truly have no clue.
No, me either.
Anyone out there who knows, please let me know. Yeah, but no, she was awesome. I really liked when she touched on staying true to herself and being someone who is comfortable with taking maybe a few days or a week away from posting because she knows that, one, she'll probably be just fine when she comes back and people aren't going to be like, oh, where'd you go? Blah, blah, blah. The fact that she takes time to take care of herself when things get overwhelming is important for people in this industry because it can be a lot. And when people are constantly talking about you online, sometimes it is hard to shut all those things out. So it was impressive to hear her say that she's found a way to make it work and make it work for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I just thought like every time someone would say something bad about us online, we are lucky enough to have a bunch of people around us to like kind of laugh about it. But yeah, that would be like definitely tough. It was like, obviously it's just her dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah. Being a solo creator, going through that. It's interesting, first of all, to know that everybody deals with it. So like if you're making content by yourself and you start to grow a brand, you're gonna get comments. Hopefully it's in the ratio of 100 positive to 1 negative, and then it makes it a lot easier. But it's like it's a guaranteed thing now, which is kind of crazy. It's like no matter what, you're gonna get comments that you're not gonna like, and the only thing you can do is just do your best to ignore them and move on. And like you said, we're lucky that we can at least laugh about them with each other and kind of brush them off together as a group, because actually that makes me feel better when there's something and then you guys see it and you take it way less seriously and we just kind of like joke about it together. It does help, but it's probably a struggle for a lot of solo creators.
Stay positive out there in the comments. Don't be bashing people unless you're up there.
Yeah. Unless it's great negative feedback or positive feedback.
Constructive
criticism. That's the word I was looking for. That's all good. Leave that wherever you like.
Yeah. It takes too much time out of your day to bash someone anyway.
Yeah, it does.
But Tori Ortiz was a great guest. We were very happy, and it was a pleasure to have her on. Boys, great job.
You too?
Yes, I'm a fan.
Yep, I'm a fan.
Big fans. Yelling Cuddy, great work. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment. Can you follow and subscribe?
Hit us up on Insta.
Does that make sense?
You can.
Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on the Insta. Follow on the TikTok.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Cuddy, sign us out.